Hello, viewers. Welcome to yet another episode of the Inside Podcast, brought to you by Oris Group Entertainment. I tell you, this is the very best podcast you can see on Qatar internet space. And on this platform, we bring you best personalities when it comes to sports, entertainment, arts, culture, trades, and businesses, just to name a few. All right, I am your host, Famous Aluya. I'm never alone. I have the very beautiful, delightful, Delisha.
The African Sheikh. Oh, I'm running out of words because there's just not enough words to explain how amazing the one and only African Sheikh is.
Thank you. I'm humbled.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
I'm really humbled. You're welcome.
Hello, viewers, and welcome to yet another fantastic podcast on The Insight. It's so wonderful to have you join us today. Thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Delisha Chetty.
Lovely. Dear viewers, on today's episode, which promises to be very exciting, we have a community leader, a human activist, and so much to say about this gentleman. So I would not want to say it. I would just want to read it so I don't miss anything out. So in today's episode, we're excited to have a community leader, a human rights advocate, a mentor, a student, and a father. He attended the famous Al-Azhar University in Cairo, Egypt, for his bachelor's degree, and he has a master's in public policy from Mohammed bin Khalifa University here in Qatar. Our guest is a Nigerian who has been in Qatar since 2008 and definitely has a lot of story to share to us today. He has been the Sub-Sahara Africa Community Coordinator at the National Human Rights Committee here in Qatar since 2016. Join me today, viewers, to welcome Mr. Said Ademola Kazim to speak to us on the subject, Do You Know Your Rights in Qatar? Wow. Mr. Kazim, thank you for joining us on the show.
Yeah, it's so nice to be here. I'm so delighted. I'm very, I'm very excited to be here. And it's just an amazing, place to be. It's a great platform that, projects Africa, for the Africans in Qatar and beyond. Because it's not only Africans in Qatar that are listening to this program. I think it's worldwide, right?
Yeah, it's a global show.
So it's great to be here, and I'm so happy and so delighted to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. When I read your profile, you with the National Human Rights Committee. And this is a very, very important aspect in everyone's existence here in Qatar and beyond. So do you want to tell us what the National Human Rights Committee of Qatar, what they do? What is their role when it comes to experts?
Actually, National Human Rights Committee is established, it's established in Qatar since 2002. It was just 2 years ago, they did the 20 years anniversary.
20 years?
Yes.
Amazing.
And in 2010, there was the law that was, made to actually form the structure of the National Human Rights Committee that has a committee, it has the board of directors. Usually there are 7 in number, not less than 7, as per the Emir law. So since then, Qatar National Human Rights Committee has always been, more or less like the defender of the human rights in the state of Qatar, which is human rights is universal. It's from the international human rights. So Qatar is just like a state angle or a state sector of the global human rights that we know. Yeah, United Nations human rights. Yeah.
So, Mr. Kazeem, can you tell us what is your role and how did you become a part of the National Human Rights Committee, and how important are community representations to you?
Well, as Mr. Famous actually said, I've been in National Human Rights since 2006. 16.
16,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, 2016,
Yeah.
not 6.
Okay.
I always miss that number. So it's since 2016. Actually, we got there as community leaders. Then I was one of the executive council members of Nigerian Diaspora Organization in Qatar, right, which is NIDO Qatar. It's widely known as NIDO Qatar. So I was part of the executive council members then. And I believe Mr. Famous also was with us then.
Yes, I was. I still remember, yeah.
So he was our financial secretary then. So we had some kind of memorandum of understanding with the National Human Rights Committee as to represent our own country, Nigeria, in that organization, as to look at the issues that are facing our community members. All right? So that's how we joined it. And after because actually we were 3 that were, from the Executive Council that got to represent the community then at the National Human Rights Committee after the signature of the signing of the MOU with the National Human Rights Committee. And we met some other communities representatives there, like the Nepal community representative and the Philippines. And we have also the India. So majorly, the countries that are very well, with high population in Qatar were the ones that are having representation at the National Human Rights. So for us as Sub-Sahara Africa, first of its kind actually, because towards the beginning of the World Cup, in the build to the World Cup, actually, World Cup was, assigned to Qatar since 2010. So there have been a lot of reforms towards making the communities here to be more comfortable and to be more, relaxed, and the way they, go about their business in Qatar. Qatar is not as it's projected out there.
Right.
Qatar actually, sees to accommodate different people. So we get to be there at National Human Rights as representation or representing Nigeria at first. But with time, so we got to start handling all Sub-Saharan African countries that are also in Qatar. You have countries like Kenya, who have quite some large population here. You have Uganda, you have Ghana, we have Cameroon, Senegal. Even at some point, we handle some other Arab African countries, the North African countries like Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, and all the rest. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you've been in your position in the human rights. What will you say are the main issues you get to handle? Because I believe you're there to receive issues, complaints from people, experts here in Qatar. So what will you say are your top issues that you receive there? Well,
as you said, the human right is to look at the rights, of people. That is why the body is there actually. But then we are specifically, to look at the issues of migrant workers, African migrant workers who are in Qatar, all right, as to the issues they face with their employers, right? And very often also we do have some issues of maybe family issues, the communities who are having their families here, because migrant workers with their families, actually. So people come here with their families, and sometimes they do have issues So they come over to the National Human Rights. We listen to their cases, we take their cases, we document those cases, and we try to refer them to the relevant authorities, all right? In some cases, we get to handle the cases and resolve those cases right there at the National Human Rights without having to, refer them to other government agencies or authorities that are, So mostly the cases are, as per the issue of labor rights, So the community, our communities here, they need to understand what are the labor laws, what are the do's and don'ts in Qatar.
Yes.
And so when they come here, and that's it. And that's what we have been doing.
Wonderful.
So far, so good.
That's lovely. I just want to ask something, from the years you've been at the human rights, how effective do you think your role has been in terms of reaching out or resolving issues brought to the human rights by Africans?
Well, I would sincerely, I would say it's been really, really, impactful, because so many cases, as like before. In fact, when people come over to the human rights, when people don't know that they are actually a body, or there is a representation of Africans, for example, at the human rights, so they don't know how to go about the problems or the cases they're having, So, but by the time they get to us and they understand, like, oh, so we have, a body like this, and then African communities are represented here. So we listen to their cases and we take actions. So sometimes we often get to, involve the embassies, the community leaders of these various countries that I mentioned that we represent. So in resolving some of these cases, and I can say we've been, very, very impactful. So from the feedback we get from people that we handle their cases,
Excellent.
So they are really, really, it's been very, very good. So I can say
You tackle it on
Yeah,
hand.
yeah.
That's wonderful. So talking about rights, what are the established human rights that relate to workers in Qatar, and where can people find materials to know their rights?
Well, when it comes to rights, there are a lot, it's a long list.
It's a long list.
Yes,
It's a long
yes.
list.
Yeah, it's not
So,
ending.
and it's very, very important for people to actually know what their rights are.
Absolutely.
And not just only knowing their rights, but also to know their responsibilities.
Yes, yes.
As in, when people come to Qatar, okay, so you have, right before, because even before, from our presence at the human rights, there are some laws that have actually been, made, or regulations to ease the way, migrant workers are being, in Qatar, so that things can be very, very well okay for them, as in terms of how, they handle their affairs in Qatar. For example, the issue of sponsorship,
Right.
So before, we all know that there wasn't anything like, being able to transfer from one company or employer to the other. All right. So it is part of the effort of national human rights, okay, in engaging with the government of Qatar and the established authorities here in Qatar to making sure that, this issue of, freedom of movement of workers from one employer to the other is established. So, and that has really been it's one of the landmark regulations that are made, in the build-up to the World Cup, and it's been sustained, actually. And a lot of people have been coming to us and submitting their, grievances or complaints, as in companies not wanting them to transfer to other, employer. So we try as much as we can to see when they actually have that right, because there are laws that you cannot just move from one company to the other,
Of course,
without some kind of, because we have people that have come to Qatar, for example, just within 1 year, after the company spending a lot of, resources on
To
them
bring
to
them in.
recruit them to
Yeah,
Qatar,
yeah.
to bring them to Qatar. So maybe after like 1 or 2 or 3 months,
They want to change.
while they are still even under probation. So they want to change to other company. So unless, they come to, a body like us, that will advise them properly that this is not the way to go.
Yeah.
Because you came to Qatar, you sign an agreement to work with this specific company. So even if you have a better offer out there, okay, so you need to
Pay your dues and just
communicate with your employer, try to reach some kind of agreement, all right? So in as much as the company has not violated your right in any way, as in what is written in the labor contract, all right? So you cannot say, okay, you want to leave that company, all right? So and unless your rights are violated, for example, if you are not being paid salaries, for example, so then you have the legitimate right to say, no, I want to change, even if still under 1 year.
1 year.
All right. Or if some of your rights are being violated in terms of, provision of healthcare, because healthcare is something that is very, very mandatory and fundamental, for any migrant worker to be here in Qatar, to exist in Qatar, you have to have that health insurance. So it's part of the things that we look at. So if people come over also to complain that possibly they don't have a health card, for example, or they don't have health insurance. So we often receive cases like that where, especially for people who are like, at danger of having accidents, for example, like delivery drivers and all that. So we make it known to them like, no, you have to get health card. We communicate with the company. So when we have employers, that this is what you need to do. You need to provide. It's very, very important and very, very mandatory that you have, they have health insurance just in case of accidents, so they get treated. So these are the issues, among several others that we handle. That, so that's it.
Sorry, just on that point.
Okay, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Could you just tell us, like, where could the people find these materials about their rights?
Yes, the materials are applicable. They are online, so we can find them online. So, and then we engage with community leaders, to give them, information and to let them know what the human rights is there for, and that actually is there for everyone. All right. So
online,
we have our website. The National Human Rights Committee in Qatar has a website. We are present on social media, and by extension, all the communities are here in Qatar. So whether the Kenyan, the Ugandan community, so we let them know that the human right is there for them to approach in case they are having issues with if their community members are having issues with the employers. And even the embassies also, they are aware about our presence there, the human rights. So and the issues that we handle.
Can handle them.
Yeah. So everything is there on the website and on all social media platforms. You have Instagram, human rights on Instagram. It's on Facebook. All right. So we are there.
So I think we're going to get this social media and the website details from you, so that we can show them to our viewers, so that they can know where to get this information. But I just want to take you back to when you spoke about the health insurance. Are you saying that in Qatar, it's mandatory for every worker to have health insurance?
It is. It's actually by law that all workers, migrant workers, must have health insurance. And it's actually very simple. It's not something that's very, very expensive. And this is one thing that makes Qatar to stand out. In most of the countries in the region. So it's just 100 riyals. That's less than how much is that?
Less than $30.
Less than $30.
Right.
All right. So once you arrive in Qatar and you do your residence, permit, the company will register you into the health system to have a health insurance card. So with that card, if you get sick or have any issues with your health, you just go to the primary health care centers, or you go to the Hamad Corporation, Hamad Hospital. So you get treated for free.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And medications are very, very well subsidized. Right? So, and in most cases, it's even the company that's going to pay for those medications. I remember, when you go to the hospital and you get a list of a lot of medications, for you at the pharmacist, and then you get to pay only 4 years.
I've experienced that actually. I've experienced that.
Pay only 4 years. So it's something that Qatar is really doing, and
excellent job.
So they need to be well applauded for that, because everybody has a health insurance coverage for not almost everyone in Qatar.
As per law.
As per the law, yeah. It's established by the law.
Yeah, you see, these are vital information. Yeah, this information is vital, and we also have other relevant information which will be good for the people and useful for experts here. But access to information is key. When there's no access to this information, they remain ignorant and they fall victims to some of this.
You are quite right, Mr. Famous.
Yeah.
One thing I want us to, because that's what we've been telling people or been saying to people. You see, when you are coming from your country, at some point or wherever, try to, reach out to your community, the community that you belong to in Qatar here, for example, or your embassy. So in case you don't have embassy, because perhaps not all embassies are here, all right? So you have a community, so try to reach out to your people, to your own people. So through the community associations, which is also, part of what Qatar is actually, known for, everybody is welcome. So you're allowed to associate yourself, which part of the human rights you can say,
Yeah.
you know, freedom of association. You associate with, you form communities. So through that community, platforms, you'll be able to get information about what is going on in Qatar.
Right.
And if you have issues, how can you, get solution to those problems, that you're having. So, but whereas people come over, maybe enter into Qatar and they don't want to identify with their communities. So it can be a problem,
Okay.
right? So it's always, we always advise and, tell people, even the community leaders, to make sure that they always go to the embassies, work with the embassies to know the population of the communities in Qatar. So by that, you can reach out to them through the embassy websites, through the community engagement and community platforms, social media platforms, so that people will be able to know when they come here, so that there is some kind of information, or they have the right information, okay,
That's very
through the
important.
community, engagement. So that's it.
Mr. Kazeem, thank you for this information. The truth is, what you've said now, it's more of the community action.
Yeah.
But what I'm really interested in is, as the Human Rights Committee, how do you think they've been able to disseminate this information down to the lower stream of expats? There are workers who are just being brought in from their countries into Qatar. They don't know what the Human Rights Office is. They don't know what the community is. All is from the airport straight to the accommodation, from accommodation straight to the sites or to other areas of work. So the point is, are there outreaches, are there programs that the Human Rights Committee has done to disseminate this information, to make it available to the least person in the stream of expats?
Yeah, you're quite right on that, yes. We have a public awareness program section at National Human Rights. And what they do is to reach out to companies, actually employers of labor here. So we do do some kind of
Outreach.
random visits and outreach to companies, because most of the companies are big companies, they have labor camps. So we go to labor camps, okay, to disseminate information, to let them know that there is human rights. Example of it is the Heat Stress campaign that we started doing for this summer. So we did it last year also. So through that platform, so we engage with companies. So the most established companies that are having workers in their population, the population, and we go to their camps, okay, to do some kind of camp visits, to let them know that there is human rights. If you have any problems, you have any issues, you can always reach out to us. Like I said, also, there is through the website, all right?
Right.
But like I said, most of these things, like when people come here, it's not going to be very easy, except people that are maybe somehow social media savvy, or internet savvy, that they want to check and Google and see what is happening, like know where human rights is and all that. But I believe everyone that comes here can easily identify with his own people or her own people. All right. So if you are able to identify with them, so they will be the one to now let you know that if you have any problem, there is a body that you can go to. So, for example, we also do some because most of these, like national human rights, we coordinate. We have some kind of internal framework that we do with bodies like the Ministry of Labor.
Ministry of Labor, yes.
Okay. So we work with Ministry of Labor. We work with the Ministry of Interior. Whenever we have programs, okay, we also disseminate this information through these other, government agencies. For example, because they are always invited. You have the Ministry of Health, okay, and Safety, and those are the things. Even Ministry of Environment. So we always
making awareness.
Exactly. So national human rights is always there, to monitor the issues of rights in Qatar, advise the government and agencies on how they have to go about, because Qatar is a signatory to the National Human Rights United Nations Convention, Okay. So by that, anything that has to do with violation of human rights and all that. So it's responsibility of the National Human Rights Committee to document all these, if there are violations, okay,
Yes.
and to approach the appropriate authorities, all right, to making sure that these violations are, see how they resolve these issues and probably,
Solutions.
make laws, okay, to prevent such violations from happening again. And that's what we've been seeing, for the past years that we've been with them. Yes.
Thank you very much. I think we need to go back to our viewers. Now, viewers, thank you so much for joining us so far. Mr. Kazeem is just a hub of information. This was why we brought him to the show, to talk to you and make sure you have information about your rights. And the good thing, one of the things I've picked up from you, that was why I had to ask again, that it's your right to have health insurance in Qatar. So for you, if you're here in Qatar as an expat, please, on the comment section, let us know. Do you have your health insurance? Or is your company depriving you of that? Let's know that. At least let's try to make this interactive. And if you have any question, you can put it to us on the comment section. And trust me, we're going to come back to you with answers on this. From Mr. Kazeem, not from us. Yeah, thank you very much.
So, Mr. Kazeem, we know that it's summer here in Qatar, and we know how hot it can be. So when it comes to the drivers, the delivery drivers, can you discuss how that is being handled and what measures are put in place for their rights to be protected?
Yes. You see, it's very, very hot in Qatar.
Yeah.
We know it's a very extreme weather when it comes to
it's 45 degrees. How many today?
So what Qatar is doing through the with the National Human Rights, is to making sure that the rights of these delivery drivers and people who work, not only the delivery drivers, actually, people who are construction site workers, so to make sure that they are protected from the extreme heat, of the So because people do have a heat stroke and all that, So what we do, what the government has done is to establish a kind of regulation that people are not allowed, to work outside, during the summer period, which usually starts from, I think, June 20, of every
I think
year.
sometime in June, and stretches up to September, I think.
Yeah, to September. So you have the period that you can, people are not allowed, are not able, to work outside.
Yeah.
So it's part of the, so from, I think, from 6 a.m. till 11 a.m. All right? So that's when you can work. But from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. in the afternoon, this is the peak of the heat.
The heat,
yes. So people are not allowed to work outside, for any reason.
Okay.
So people are, if your work is, or your job is indoors, you can work indoors, but you cannot. So for delivery drivers, bike riders, they are not allowed to make any delivery during that period.
Wow.
And that's why maybe you have been seeing that recently, or ever since this law has been made, that you see between 3:30, 4 p.m., you just see a flock of these drivers on the streets, going on, because you just see where are they coming from? So it's because they are not allowed to move around, during that period between 11 to 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. So once the ban, or let me put it that way, is lifted at 3:30, then they can start, making their deliveries. Whereas people might ask, how do people get things to their like you want to eat during that period? So it's say that you have to have a car. So if people are they are delivery vehicles, so people, companies who are in this kind of business, they are told, because they have to recruit people to drivers. So delivery has to be done through vehicles, through cars, motor cars. So it cannot be through bikes. So bikes has to be within 3:30 in the evening or 4 o'clock, when the heat is down. So
the same thing for the cars as well, the vehicles?
The vehicles, because the vehicles should be in AC. All right, so they
So
can
that's
deliver
okay,
at
like
any time of
11
years.
to 3.
So they can
Okay.
deliver at any point in time,
Right,
because
yeah,
all of
that
us
makes
actually can
sense.
go out during that period with our cars.
Yeah.
With
With our cars, yeah,
AC,
true.
Yes.
I think this is very informative. I think our viewers will be very excited to hear. I think most of them know this already. But if you don't know, what Mr. Kazeem has just said is, in Qatar, from 11 to 3, you're not supposed to walk under direct sunlight. It's
Yes.
your right. Know this. So if you're having challenges and you're still being put under direct sunlight, so what you have to do, they have to visit the Human Rights Committee.
Let them
Yeah.
visit us, yes.
Good,
Yes.
good. So, Kazeem, let's move a bit away from this summertime. There are other vital issues when it comes to human rights of expats here in Qatar. We have issues on ID, sponsorship, unpaid wages. We have issues for transfer sponsorship, like I just said. We have issue for contracts. Okay, we have gratuity issues. Some people have completed the transfer sponsorship, and some companies are holding back their money because they've already transferred. So they don't see it as an obligation, or they cannot come to hold them responsible. So these are major challenges. Do you think there are people facing this? I believe there are.
Yeah,
And
there are.
If there
Yeah.
are, what is the Human Rights Committee, or from your own office, what are you doing to provide solutions to these people, to have them protected, to make sure they get what is right for them?
Yeah, let me just take this, a little bit down for our viewers to understand very well. Say, for example, you're a worker in a company, all right? Possibly you've worked with that company for like two or more years, because the law says that once you have spent a year with the company, you are entitled to, at least 21 days gratuity to be paid, when you want to leave the company. Of course, that is if you are a well-behaved worker. So someone
If your
cannot,
records are clean.
Exactly, records are clean. You're not supposed to, because that's why it's actually called gratuity.
Yeah.
So we've seen cases of people coming to report that their gratuities are not being paid. So when that happens, what we do is to document this kind of, because it's a violation of their rights, because the law says that, the labor law says that the workers have to be paid their gratuities at the point of either resignation or termination, or, as it may be. So when they come like that, we document their case and try to reach out to Ministry of Labor and ask them to file a case at the Ministry of Labor first, to protect them.
Right.
All right. So once they file the case at the Ministry of Labor, then we again, reach out to the company, call the company, the employer, all right, to ask, so why do we have this type of issue happening with your company, that this individual, you are the one, either the company is the one that actually terminated the person, the individual, or it's a resignation, and then you are going to part ways anyways, and then, so why are you not paying this individual its gratuity?
Wow.
So in most cases, the companies will cooperate with us. Okay, they will come and say, oh, we're sorry, it's not like we don't want to pay. Sometimes some companies are having financial issues, right? Possibly they are not being paid also by contractors.
Okay.
So for that reason, so they come to us, they try to give us like maybe more or less like, let me say, undertaking that we will pay this amount of money or this gratuity, at certain, maybe installments to the employer. Because sometimes most of this, when you are having issues of, paid, is a lot of money that are involved. You have people, maybe, for example, I don't know, people that collect a lot of, high-paid workers, and probably their gratuity is into hundreds of thousands of riyals, all right? So, and the company finds itself, lacking or not being able to. So what we do is that we come in, okay? So perhaps even if the company is bankrupt, it's not able to fulfill its obligations towards the workers. So we coordinate with Ministry of Labor.
Okay.
And there is an established workers' fund, okay, in Ministry of Labor, that if companies are not able to pay, all right, and the worker is able to, through labor, get a judgment that this amount needs to be paid, okay, whether salaries or gratuity. So it goes through this workers' fund, okay, that is at the Ministry of Labor. Yeah, it's actually by the law also. So the Emir, in his wisdom, his Highness wisdom, and established this workers fund to aid, individuals or employers who are not paid their gratuities or not or be owed by companies in case maybe the company is bankrupt, is no more in existence. So where do we get the money, right? So that's why this kind of fund is established. So it's under the Ministry of Labor, right? But once you have a judgment, so you go through the Ministry of Labor, you get this paid. What human rights does sometimes, or in most cases, like if, for example, because how things are, you have a lot of cases lining, right? So people, they say, okay, maybe for like 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, and they want to leave the country, for example, and they just need to get their rights, all right? They need to get the money. So what we do at the human rights is to coordinate with the Ministry, with the Ministry of Labor, perhaps to write a backup letter, okay, to hasten them to look into the case. So this is one of the things that we do, we stand out in doing, like to assist people who are having this type of issues. So when they come to the human rights, so we direct them to labor. They open a file at labor, they open a case at labor, so it goes through the labor court and all that. But then because of the exigency or the urgency of the case, okay, as it may be, because individuals might want to leave the country, as soon as all the issues of termination of contracts happened. So we try to write. Not that we try. We actually do that. We write to the Ministry of Labor to get them to expedite the case. So that's what we do.
So this is the most striking part you just said is the workers' fund at the Ministry of Labor.
Yeah.
This is a very great initiative.
Yes, that also really got my attention.
It means the government has a very solid interest in the protection of expats and migrants' rights. And another thing is the information.
The information, yeah.
Is it cascaded? Has it had a good channel to go down to? Because there are people who have these issues. They don't have the information
of how to reach out.
What we're concerned about is to make sure that the channel to access this information is clearly established.
Like I said, it is. Okay, it's like if you don't seek for information, then how do you get it? Yeah, right. People need also to seek for information.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have issues, like you have to let us put this in. Take it down to the grassroots, like the level of, like I said again, community, all right? You need to identify with your community when you're in Qatar, all right?
Okay.
Because you are coming as somebody who is a new person, right? So, and then you have people from your community that are already here in Qatar, all right? Perhaps some of them have even spent more than 10 years here in Qatar. So it is through them, if you have any issues, that's why I said it is very, very important to identify with your community as soon as you arrive in Qatar. So that all this information, because they know that, for example, there is human rights, and they know that you have this type of workers' fund, all right? Because what we do, as when we meet with the community leaders, is to make sure to let them know the changes that are happening in terms of regulations and laws in Qatar, okay? That just in case your community your community members do not know, this is what we have for you. So, and if you don't identify with your community members, okay, it might be a little bit difficult for you to know exactly what's going on out there. So that's why we always try to, as much as we can. So, for example, if anybody comes to me, or comes with any case at the human rights, I usually ask them, so do you identify with your community? You don't. Try to, identify with your community.
With them.
Not only that, also, because you are more or less like information carrier. Now, you've come here, tell your other colleagues, okay, at your work. Tell your friends that there is a place like this, all right? That if you have any issues, you can come to us. And that's how we've been doing information dissemination to people, like to get to know, like through referrals, right?
Referrals.
So, yeah.
Another thing is, the last time I visited the National Human Rights Committee office, I found some books, which is more like, there's one that is Know Your Rights, Benefit of Knowing Your Rights. There is another book for how to lay complaints. I think there are some books. I took them actually. I thought I was going to bring them to the studio today, but I totally forgot. Yeah, I thought I was going to have them. But
that's good.
Materials like this, do you supply these materials to communities, to embassies? Because so many nationals visit the embassy for consular issues or other issues, if they find this type of materials there to just take handy, that might be another good
Yes, we have. That's why if you could recollect that day when you came, you found these booklets. We call them booklets, Know Your Rights booklets, right? So they are in different languages.
Yes,
most of the countries are in Qatar. Yeah, they're in different languages. You have the Urdu language, you have even Swahili language in Africa, for example, because it's one of the. You have the Hausa language. Okay.
Oh,
yes.
You have Hausa also.
Yes. So these are the languages that are very well established in Africa, and we have quite a lot of people speaking these languages.
Do you have Afrikaans?
So, yes. You have Afrikaans also.
You have
South Africa.
Afrikaans?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So we have these languages. Yeah, South Africa, right?
Yeah.
So we have this booklet in different languages. Okay. So for people to be able to if they come around, they pick up this document, this booklet, where we have embassies coming to us, we give them this booklet. All right. So it's right there.
It's great.
Do you have the e-copy? Do you have e-copies for this?
E-copy, I'm not really sure about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we have e-copy for the file or for the document you can use to file complaints. Okay. So that one is online. So you can go to our website. So we'll see the document that you need to fill up to file a complaint. And once you come to the human rights, you can ask for this booklet. You actually see them in the reception and everywhere. Okay. The booklet in the community offices, So on our tables, you can pick it up. It's for free. Right? Yeah. So once you seek for information, you get it.
You seek and you will find.
Yeah.
But I think our viewers need to know this because Mr. Kazeem just said if you come to the human rights, they have the handbooks. You can also check on the website, on the social media platform, if you can get those materials there, because it's very, very, very important for you to know your rights.
And like I said, anytime we go to these labor camps, where we have congregation of workers, and anytime we have events, outreach events, so we do have all these, booklets also with us for people to be able to lay their hands on them and know what their rights are and read about, human rights in Qatar in general. So all these things I'm talking about here is actually there, so you can find it.
That's excellent.
So.
There have been dialogues on enhancing skilled migrant labor with Africa. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this, and how should African countries ensure their citizens are catered to?
Well, that's one thing we have to leave for obviously the politicians in Africa to know what they have to do and what they need to do.
Have a major hot seat hotter.
I will tell you really, with my personal experience with, I think the Asian continent, the Asian countries have been doing so well in this. And few of African countries are also doing very well because it's all out to do with MOU with countries. So if countries, because you can see Qatar is a country that's welcoming to migrant workers. And if you look at that, and you have quite a large population of African youth that are looking for jobs, So if our countries back home, so the ministers of labor, the ministries of labor back in our countries, they actually look out into saying we want to go to Qatar and see in which fields, or which areas or sectors that they will need, the country will need people to come, human capital, to come to their country to work in Qatar. So through that, you have some kind of foreign exchange, right? What do you call it?
Bilateral or something?
Bilateral agreements with countries. So to supply labor, because if you go, for example, Nepal, you see they are really doing quite well. There are quite a lot of the population here in Qatar. It's because of, the kind of MOU that's happening between Qatar and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Qatar, Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Qatar, in Nepal. So you have even Philippines, it's very, very organized. So we expect African countries, to do this, reach out. Qatar is welcoming to everyone, all right? So they need to come over, see how and where, in which sectors, our people, Africans, can come and make impact in contributing to the development and economic development of Qatar. So this is really, really important. And not only that, so when they come, if you have this vocational, let's say, programs, right, in different sectors, like whichever or whoever is coming, or your people that are coming here, or people that are coming to Qatar here, so they are well trained, to fit into those sectors or those jobs that are needed here. So I think we just need some kind of, let's say, organization. Okay.
Yes.
And by the way, Qatar is also doing its role in trying to establish, and maybe this is something that you really need to establish what we call labor offices, in countries.
In different countries.
In different countries.
Okay.
Already I think you have in Nepal and you have in the Philippines. So they are trying to establish one in Africa, at least to start with. Looking at Kenya, most likely. So they are going to have a labor office there because you have issues of some kind of visa racketeering and all that happening, where you have agents back home. They get money from people to come and work in Qatar. And let it be clear there that you are not supposed to pay a dime for visa when you're coming to Qatar.
As an employee.
As an employee, as a migrant worker.
A migrant worker.
Okay. Once you get a job offer to come to Qatar, okay, it is the company that is responsible, the employer, that's responsible to provide everything for you, even the ticket.
Wow.
Yes.
So really
if you, so what you have, or what you see happening in most cases are people coming to Qatar, okay, without following the normal legal process. So that's why when they come here, they face issues. But seriously, if we really, if people are really, they have the information, okay, and they are really aware, and even you have this labor unions in countries like in Kenya, in Nigeria, they come to Qatar, okay, to have dialogue, like what is happening. So maybe some of our people are having issues. For example, in the issue of visa racketeering and human trafficking. Because if you don't know the company that you are going to, okay, or you just fall into the hands of people who don't have companies, okay, or they have companies on papers but not really well-established companies that we know it's happening, okay, because they call it free visa, what do you call it?
Free visa.
Free visa,
is it portfolio companies?
Yeah, portfolio companies.
Portfolio companies.
So, there is nothing like that in Qatar. So it is the company that's supposed to be responsible for providing your ticket to come to Qatar, pay for your visa and everything. And as soon as you arrive, the company is going to put in its accommodation.
Right.
Okay? So a migrant worker in Qatar lives for free. Okay? Transport for free.
Wow.
To their workplaces. Okay? If you are not provided transport, you have to be paid.
Okay, you have to be paid for it.
So it's established in the Qatar law. The labor law. So whereas you have people coming here and then they get to rent houses and just on their own because the company does not actually exist. It's just on papers. So these are the issues that I think we are having a lot
at the moment. Yeah.
At the moment. So it's our role, and I think that's one of why your platform is really, really
absolutely
great
to get this information
to get
across.
this information out to people that don't fall into the hands of those people who are carrying visas and selfie companies to you and tell you like, okay, pay this amount of money. So the company is there in Qatar, and then you come to work here, and then when you come here, you find that there's no company. And then after probably, selling your properties back home, to pay for such, visas to come to Qatar. So there is nothing like that. There is nothing like, paying for visas and all that. Okay, try to do your investigation very well. Ask people who are in Qatar that does this company exist? Because these are the cases they are receiving a lot nowadays. There are people come over here, and then when they come, they are looking for the company that brought them here.
They can't find the company.
They can't find the company. So, and once you are here, you have a period of 30 days for you to get your residence permit. You need to go for medical, yes, for fingerprint, and then you get your ID. The processes that needs to be, all these processes that need to be done, okay, if you are not, okay, coming to real, legal, well-established company. Okay, how do you do that?
True.
So, and then before you know it, and then how do you survive in terms of accommodation and all that? Okay, so these are the issues, and we are really, we are, talking to community leaders, we are talking to embassies, okay, to look into how they are going to cope or to look into making sure that their people, okay, or their citizens don't just come into Qatar on this, what I call fake visas, or fake companies.
Companies,
because visas are valid anyway, but fake companies, all right, that just exist on papers and they are not really well established. So that's it.
So the thing is, thank you so much, Mr. Kazim. This information is huge.
Very.
Another thing, I'm taking you back to communities. I remember I asked something about communities before, but this information you've given now, it's so helpful, okay, and it's something that people need. Migrant workers here need. Expats, they need it. But do you think you, from the human rights, you guys are doing your best in creating the framework, creating outreaches, and also connecting these communities and embassies? But do you think the embassies and the communities are doing detailed work in terms of cascading this information to their nationals here? Or do you think there's more for them to do? Because at the end of the day, this information needs to go out. Qatar has created, with what you said, so many frameworks, several frameworks to protect the rights of workers. But if they don't know, they don't know. So do you think the communities and the embassies got more to do? And how do you think they can make progress with this?
Yeah, that's right. You are very, very right, Mr. Famous. Like, the communities, they really have big and huge role to play, as in terms of the welfare of their community members. Okay, and by extension, because most of the communities are actually established under the embassies. Okay, they need to, some kind of disseminate information, let them know what are the regulations in Qatar, are. So that's why I also said right from the beginning that people just need to identify with their communities. So, however, the communities need to, up their games in terms of how they look after the welfare of their community members. I'll give you an example. For example, the Labour, Ministry of Labour, for example, has a platform where you call the Community Leaders Welfare Forum, where all community leaders are present.
Oh,
all right.
That's a good one.
Through that kind of platform, okay, you reach out to all communities, because it is now going to be the responsibility of the leaders of these communities to disseminate information to their people that this is what is going on. And I can even see that the Ministry of Interior, so oftentimes, send emails out, okay, to do some kind of webinar on creating awareness on. So possibly human rights is trying to, do something like that also, in the very near future, to be having some kind of, webinar or online outreach, to talk to people on their rights and how they should, to know what their rights are and their responsibilities. So that, because sometimes when people don't know their responsibilities, so by that, you violate the right of your employer. Because when you say human rights, it's not only for
employees. Employers have rights also.
They are humans also, right? The employers are humans also, right?
Yes.
So if you don't know what your responsibilities are, or you violate your responsibilities by that, you are violating the rights of your employer.
Okay.
And by that,
it's like a chain.
Exactly, it's a chain of so they have to be very, very careful into knowing what their rights are and at the same time what their responsibilities are towards their employers, so they don't violate the rights of their employers, which in most cases will backfire on them.
Yeah,
either by being terminated or not being paid, all those sort of things happening. Yeah.
Okay. So, Delisha.
This is very informative, I must say. So
I tell you.
informative. Like I'm just so glued, like I'm really, really learning so much. So how can people with human rights related challenges lodge their complaints? Is there like a step-by-step process that people can?
Let me walk you through this.
Please.
This is very important. So take your time, give us these details because our viewers want to know everything.
Let's say you have a case, for example, unpaid salaries. All right. So before you can identify that your salary is not being paid, maybe 1 month, for example. So, okay. And the second month, you are not paid. So ordinarily or by law, companies are to pay their employees through the WPS
system.
That is wage protection system. All right, whereby where companies pay their workers, it first goes through check through the labor office. Before bank to the labor office, and the labor office approving it before it goes back to the bank, then workers can get their salaries paid through what you call SMS and messages and bank statements. So if your salary is not being paid, for example, for like more than a month, going to the second month, and you are not being paid, you can approach us at the Human Rights. So when you come to us at the Human Rights, what we do is to get your information, basic information. Okay, it's not that exhaustive. So basic information, your name, your address, the area where you stay, your telephone number, most importantly, the name of your employer, which has to be the same with what is on your ID. QID. So we check it. So, and then we get the telephone contact, the contact number of your employer. All right? And then you just write in statements, maybe 1 or 2 sentences. Sometimes people are not able to express themselves. So we help them in doing that. So we write the complaints, and then we document it, we file it. Then the individual will receive a message that a file has been opened on his name. Okay. So for us as community coordinators, so we are the one to receive the complaints. Okay. So once we get the complaints, then we take it to the stage of where it's being registered at the registration department. So we get it registered. So the case will now be assigned to what we call labor officers. Human rights officers. Okay, most of them are lawyers. Okay, they look at the cases. Okay, in most cases, they can contact the employer by themselves, or they go through us for us to call the employer, because sometimes you have issue of language problem, barrier. So perhaps maybe they are not able to understand from the complainant what the issues are. He or she is not able to express himself or herself very well. So through us, we'll be the one to now explain that this is what this person wants, and this is what's been happening. So when the person gives us, the complainant gives us the complaint, then we understand it very well, then we communicate it to the legal advisor or the researcher at the restitution section. So then he's going to take action, okay? Either asking us to call the employer, or he calls the employer by himself. So by that, we get to resolve most of the cases, all right? Whereas the employer is not that kind of maybe cooperating with us. So it does not cooperate with us, then we have to refer the person to labor, and then probably write some kind of internal memo to labor that this company or employer has violated this person's right. We need them to look at the case, okay, as it comes. So I think the labor office also does the same thing. All right, when they go to labor, so they also have the same process as the employer is going to be invited with the complainant to listen to both of them. Both parties. So both parties, what is happening? That's good. Why are there, why are we not being able to pay this person? And perhaps you're going to say, okay, it's because it's not been present or not being
absence from work.
Absence from work and all that. We have a lot of issues happening.
Right.
So they get to resolve between them. Okay. So at the end of the day, go and pay, the employee. Okay. So in a case that sometimes you have the employers not cooperating or they don't want to respond, so then the case goes to the dispute resolution committee. Okay. So whereby it's going to go through the legal processes and all that. So that usually will take maybe 3 weeks to 1 month in most cases.
Okay.
Yeah. So whereby it's the cases are dragging too much, then again, that individual can come back to us at the human rights that even though I've filed this complaint at labor, but it's taking too long, then we look at it. Okay. So we try to communicate with the person of contact at the Ministry of Labor. So we have in almost all agencies, we have what we call persons of contact that we contact through the human rights, okay, to see into their cases. For example, people are maybe in the detention camps, okay. So that's part of the things that we do at the human rights. We do what they call field visits, you know, to detention camps. To make sure, to make sure that people's rights are not violated, or people are not being detained, you know, without being arraigned in court, you know, to know what their offenses are. Because it's, like you said, human rights. Okay, people are supposed to have their freedoms.
Yeah.
So if you are arrested, so I usually ask people, like when they come and say, I was detained for, at the police station or that, or at the CID, I ask them, for how long? So in most cases, you see maybe only one, maybe between 48 hours they are released. Yes, because they have to be arraigned in court. So a judge will speak to them. In most cases, it can be through online, because they don't know. It's actually, it's more or less like a court section that's going on. You just see that somebody is talking to them and say, that's a court section. Just to ask you what is happening, or when they see that the case has not yet been established, or they have not, there's no criminal offense or anything against you, even if there is, you just get you to sign, okay, that anytime they need you, they call you, so that you'll be released, you'll be given your freedom. So these are the things that we look into as human rights. We do what we call field visits to detention camps, and correctional centers. And we do visits, like I said earlier on, to labor camps to make sure that people are living in a very conducive accommodation, because health is wealth. Okay? People have to have nice and well equipped accommodation. That's because as you can see, the weather is very hot. So you can imagine workers working sleeping in a place that there's no AC, there are no air conditions. So you have to make sure that
So I take it that this is the manual process of complaints, the step-by-step process. This is the manual way.
Yeah,
right?
this is manual way.
Is there an electronic way online?
Yes, there is an electronic way. Actually, we have email.
Okay,
that people can file their complaint through the email. So during the COVID-19 period, we continue, our work didn't stop. Actually, it's one of the sectors that actually, I can say, that looked into resolving the issues of workers in Qatar. So during the COVID-19. So that was when the people got to know that, there is where you can file a complaint online. We have an email.
What is the email?
c@nhrc.org.qa. c@nhrc.org.qa. Once you send the email, it reaches us directly. So we look at the files. We look at the, all you need to attach is your ID, valid ID or passport, in case you don't have an ID, passport and your visa. So, and then you make your complaint, and we look at it, we document it, and then we call you. So once you provide your information, your telephone number, the telephone number of your employer, the copy of your ID, both the front and the back page, so the side, so that we can see the company that you are complaining against, and then the telephone number of the company. So once you have that, you send it to us by email, even if you don't have the access to come on, because sometimes you have some workers who are actually local,
and the timing and stuff as well.
Yeah, they are not able to leave their accommodation, so they can file the complaint through online. Okay, so we get to receive it, and then we act upon them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kazeem. It's so much we want to talk about. We have so many questions to ask you, because what we want to make sure we get as much information to our viewers, but time will not allow us. So we do know that, Delisha, we're going to bring him back again here very soon, because he seems to be so grounded in this, and we don't want to deprive our viewers from any of this information at all. But just before you go, we just want to ask you a question. From my side, I think Delisha will have one from her side, just to end it. Now, Qatar has been portrayed negatively outside. Let's say in Africa, we're talking about Africa now. People who have not been here before believe Qatar is a very strict Sharia country. Their laws are not friendly. It's difficult to live and do business here. This is what they think. They've never been here. Now, you've been here since 2008. Can you, in few words, tell us your perspective on this? And also, just tell us your perspective, just in few words.
I will just be very, very frank with you. Qatar is, like home to all. It's very, very welcoming. I have cousins, like I remember when I went to the UK and they were like, oh, that's your country that has, this Islamic and this and that. You cannot. I said, on the contrary, if you come to Qatar, there are clubs.
Yeah, there are clubs.
People go to clubs. We all know. People go to clubs and you have freedoms and you can. I can say it's one of the safest countries actually in the world.
Very safe, yes.
It's very safe. You can, from morning till night till morning, the other day, daybreak, you are just there doing your BME, doing your thing. Nobody's harassing you, nobody's telling you where are you coming from or what are you doing and all that. Okay? In as much as it's in conformity with the morals of the society.
Yes.
Because, for example, now you don't see people running around, going around the street naked, right? Half naked, all right? So these are the things. So you just dress decently. You don't have to cover your face. You don't have to, like people portray it out there. So Qatar is a very, very free country. When it comes to like social, people socialize, people go around doing their businesses and all that. So it's very, very safe. So welcome to Qatar. You come to Qatar, you'll be so much amazed and at least, the Qatar hosted the world, right?
The world.
2022.
Yes.
And people got to see, like, no, this is not what are being said out there. It's being portrayed out there. So Qatar is a very, very, in terms of accommodating and tourism, there's a lot to be actually to visit in Qatar also.
True.
When people come here. And then you can do businesses also. So it's not only the Qataris that are doing businesses here. We have foreigners who have companies there and are doing very well.
So the laws are friendly.
The laws are friendly. And then people are just, you just get amazed. Like, okay, you almost have, it's not like you have equal rights.
Wow.
Okay, with the Qataris when it comes to businesses and most of the things that are, people need, like in terms of human development and all that. So it's not like a law is for Qataris and a law is for the locals and law is for it's for everyone. Yeah,
wow.
So everyone. So Qatar is very welcoming. So and I can even tell you from some of the cases we have, we have handled, we see and the people like, so I never knew that actually this is my company that's very, very big and, it's like I can win the case. I say, nobody's above the law here. Yeah.
So you have success stories.
Yeah, success stories, yeah. They come back to tell us, like, I never believed that I can win this case because I know my employer.
Wow.
My employer will not let me, say, no, there's nothing like that. If you have your right, you get your right. Okay, and nobody's above the law. Okay. I want to tell you, people don't believe that there are Qataris who are in jail, in prisons, in correctional centers. They don't believe that. Like because of issues like this, like because you violated the right of a migrant worker, okay, you get locked up. Yes. Okay. So that happened.
Yeah. Rights are rights.
Yeah, rights are rights.
Yeah, that was
I'm
was
speechless.
intense.
I'm not saying anything again. Please, Dedisha.
So, Mr. Kazeem, this is my last question to you, and I'm sad. I'm actually very sad about that. But,
Don't worry, we'll bring him back. Just
okay, so
let's finish with him today. Let him go. We'll bring him back again to the studio.
All right. So my question is, Qatar has invested so much when it comes to tourism and with very high expectations. So what do you have to say when it comes to people in Africa and encourage them to come and visit and perhaps invest in Qatar? What would you have to say to them?
Well, for the businessmen and women out there in Africa, so you come to Qatar, you see you see new cities are being built.
Yes.
For example, you have the Lusail city, you have the Pearl, all these areas, the Marina, to permit. You just have a lot of things that you can. And people are Qatar is one of the tourist destinations of the world because you look at the airline, you even look at the airport, So Hamad International Airport, I think back to back has been winning the best airports in the world. Okay, look at the infrastructure.
And even Qatar Airways.
Qatar Airways also, just 2024 Skytrax.
Qatar Airways. I'm
Skytrax is the best airline in the world.
She works for Qatar Airways.
Wow. Yeah. So you look at the infrastructure, it's really, really amazing. And the thing is, you look at the developmental projects, how the Qatar is just within a period of I think 10 years. or something.
Yeah.
You feel like you are new cities being built.
Yes, very, very
You know?
rapidly.
You look at, no, it's amazing. So,
Yes.
no, and I believe Africans, okay, the business owners in Africa, the big
Guns.
guns. Yeah. You need to come here. You need to you need to come and collaborate. There are a lot of billionaires here in Qatar that we can actually partner with. Some of the projects they are doing here in terms of real estate. I think we have people actually are into that kind of business. We are Africans here, even are doing so well in real estate. So you can come over here, do business like real estate, Also, maybe Qataris go to Nigeria, to countries in Africa to do businesses and all that. So it's just about people having
An
that
open
mind
and just
knowing
like taking that step.
Their rights are protected when they come here. So don't see it as like, oh, we go, we invest, and then they lock up our money. No, Qatar is not like that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kazim. Our dear viewers, it's been a long discussion with Mr. Kazim. And didn't expect it to be this long, but it's just that it kept flowing, kept flowing like that. And I'm so happy that you came. And dear viewers, I hope you've learned a lot from today. I know you want to hear more. We're going to bring Mr. Kazim back again to the studio at the right time. So please, please, please go again through this video so that you get to know your rights. You get to make sure that you're not deprived of your rights at any time. So once again, thank you so much, Mr. Kazeem. Thank you for bringing so much information to us.
My pleasure. And thank you actually also for this platform. It's when I heard about your platform, I'm just like, wow. So how much we need this in Qatar for Africans, because projecting the image of Africans, in Qatar to Africans and to Africans in diaspora, because it's something that is really, really, really needed in this type of community or environment or country that we are in. So we are doing well. So,
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
People are really happy here, and we are very, very happy here. So you are welcome, Africans. So welcome to Qatar. Welcome to Qatar. So you will find a very, very friendly, people. I've never seen because I normally tell people the Qataris, if you get to know them, oh wow, they are just one of the amazing people in the world, really.
Okay.
They are very, very amazing and very, very welcoming. When it comes to hospitality, no. So it's, they have it.
Best.
Yeah, best of the best. They have this culture of where you have majlis. Majlis, where you have sitting, where they invite people, to come. You eat with them, you dine with them, So it's like, I like the culture. It's very, very amazing, and that's why we feel at home here, actually. So it's our second home. Yeah, we are happy here.
Yes. So, Mr. Kazim, it's really been wonderful having you.
My pleasure.
So insightful, so informative. As you can see, we don't want to stop. Yes, but before we let you go, we just have a section called Rapid Fire Question.
Oh.
Okay, so this is where we're going
to ask.
Do I
need
to
get set for that one?
Get a little bit hotter.
Yeah, it's actually
got hotter. Okay, so we're going to ask you a few questions, and then you'll just answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, so number 1, Doha or Lagos?
Doha.
Oh, wow, okay. Doha, everybody, okay. Jollof or chicken biryani?
Jollof, of course.
Travel by air or by water?
By air.
Okay.
Qatar Airways.
Qatar Airways. And the last one, dollars or reals?
Dollars, of course.
Okay. Thank you so much for your answers.
My pleasure.
I'm sure everyone loves gifts. So just as a token of our appreciation to you for joining us today, we are really, really, really glad that you've joined us. And a little thank you gift from us.
Wow. I didn't expect
this.
It's amazing.
When you come here, you don't expect anything. You just come and enjoy yourself, and you go home with something.
Oh, thank you so much on behalf of the Insight.
Thank you so much. It's really nice. Insight, that's really nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And we hope you're going to like it. Please put it somewhere that you always see it, and remember that you came here on.
Sure, I will. All right, thank you so much.
Yeah. So viewers, thank you very much for joining us today on today's show. It was exciting time with Mr. Kazeem, and we do hope you had enough of fun and information gotten from this show today. We don't want to end this, but we have to end it. All right, we have to end it. We'll be back again next time.
And once again, to our wonderful viewers, to continue to join us on this amazing, fantastic, informative journey, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Insight by Oryx. Until next time, we are really looking forward to seeing you again. Until then, take care. Goodbye.